pictures of that big boy in there.
Well, as you saw, it was a nail in the tire. And down here, I can't imagine there's a car on this island that hasn't had a plug have to be put in it. Nails, screws. Well, back out again. I have to get a couple dozen screws and some tie wire for some steel. If they had told me that before, I could have gotten it earlier. Hoping this afternoon that we got the frame. Really the hardest part of putting the Nano door in is the frame, because the frame has to be really perfect, otherwise it's not going to work. So hopefully that's all taken care of. So after lunch we'll be able to put the door in, and hopefully by the end of the day the door will be in. It'll be wonderful. Well, remember the Mini? The Mini was actually done yesterday, but he WhatsApped me, but it didn't go through. So he ended up giving me a phone call this afternoon. So I'm headed over to pick that up. I don't think it was all that extreme. Probably something loose, I guess. Find out shortly. Well, it ended up being just a little bracket that was holding some kind of like heat shield thing, and that's what made the little vibration. Relatively minor, so that wasn't a big deal. And I like to get those things, especially here, fixed, because if the thing fell off, the heat shield falls off, then drags another part, or God only knows. And you know, getting parts and everything else around here is not really that simple most of the time. So better to avoid the problem than have to deal with it later. Oh yeah, you saw the Nano door is in. There was a little problem with one of the hinges. They're, you know, it's like a cast aluminum, and one of them actually cracked. So we'll have to get another one, obviously. But then the door needs a little bit more adjustment, a little fine tuning. I remember they had to do that with the other Nano door too. But tomorrow that should be all set. That'll be wonderful. That room will be 99% done. Ooh, nice hairdo. One giant pumpkin, local sweet potatoes, and local bananas. Now, what I'm going to do with them all, I don't know, especially this. The bananas believe it or not, those bananas are actually just about ready. And unfortunately, they're going to be like ready really soon. They look green, but I just had one. Really good. And once you've had these bananas, those dull ones that come from the grocery store are like, yeah, I don't want that. It has no taste. It's just, I don't know, looks like a banana. This guy here, I really don't know what I'm going to do with him. He's pretty big. So I have some pretty exciting news. A guy who watches this channel and the other stuff we do about Eleuthera, he has his own plane. I've never met him before. This is just through, social media stuff. And anyway, he's coming. He wrote me before and said he's coming to Eleuthera. Would I like a plane ride? And I said, yeah, sure. So it hasn't been that long. And he just wrote me again today and said, hey, I'm going to be flying in this weekend on the 23rd until the 28th. You want to get together for a plane ride out of Governor's on Saturday or Sunday? And I'm like, yeah. Be like the big drone. He also has on his plane 3 GoPros. So I'm not sure how I can get the footage we're going to get off those GoPros. Plus I got to ask him if I can take some of my cameras and stuff to get different perspectives, because I don't know how he has his set up. But that's pretty exciting stuff. Usually I just meet people for coffee. They don't take me for plane rides. Now, if anybody has a yacht and they want to take me to one of the other islands or something, we're there. Okay, remember the sweet potatoes I showed you before? I'm going to cut these up and then cook them. They're like really thick and starchy. So you could cut them into chunks, put them into a soup or something like that, but and it would really thicken up the soup. But I'm just going to cut these up because it's just me here. And number 2, it's way too hot for soup. And then I will boil them up like potatoes and then mash them up, and then I can eat them as I want. So that'll make it good. They probably have a lot of calories because of the starch and everything in them. But that's alright. I won't eat too much of them. Okay, so I just peeled them all. And if you look, you can see it's really thick. One of the things you can do with these is just take these and fry them up in butter. And that's really good too. But again, I'm not doing that this time. This time I'm just going to cut them all up and make mashed potatoes out of them. Can you see the water? How sort of foggy it got just from the starch? And I just put the water in. I didn't actually stir it or anything else. So they're pretty starchy, but they are sweet. Tomorrow's supply of coffee, ready. Now it goes in the refrigerator, gets chilled. I'm good for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll make another pot. Pot a day keeps the doctor away. Or is that an apple? I think it was coffee. They just said apple. Okay, sweet potatoes are done. And you'll see, they're white. They're not orange. They're not quite as sweet as the orange ones in the US, but they're really good. I just put in butter, salt, and pepper, and as you can see, there's plenty from those two. That's days and days. Days and days. So whenever I can, or as much as I can, I'd rather buy and get stuff local than the grocery store stuff, because especially here, the grocery store stuff comes from Nassau, then from Nassau comes to Eleuthera, and generally the stuff that comes from Nassau isn't their top shelf stuff, because they've already, had it a little while, and it's like, oh, we got to send this someplace, so we better send it to one of the out islands, family islands. So anytime I can get anything that's local, sometimes it's like with anything local. If you've got it and all of a sudden, it's in season, it's like too much of it. But that's how it goes. And I'd rather do that. And like these guys bring me some stuff in, so I try to, do things for them, maybe give them a little bit of money on the side to help them keep growing these things. It's a win-win to me.